Hey team, welcome to another video. In today's video I'm going to be talking once again about everyone's favorite subject, which is how to make Gil in Final Fantasy XIV. And today specifically we're going to be talking about things you can do with your battle jobs. So if you're not into crafting and gathering, this video for the most part will teach you alternative ways to make Gil, or maybe some ideas, some things, some concepts that you hadn't considered. Keep in mind though, the number one best way to make Gil in the game is to know what's going on in the game. So for example, when we had Ishgard Restoration, selling the things that people were using to craft the items required for that was a big Gil maker. When Eureka was super popular right before Shadowbringers came out, selling logograms on the market board was a big money maker. So there's nothing that will replace knowing what's going on in the game, but using some of these techniques you will continue to build your Gil reservoir and hopefully be able to buy that house or whatever you want to buy in the game. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing I want to start with is retainers. So if I go into my battle job retainer, Trixie Candy, who's set as a summoner, and I go to assign venture, you've of course got 3 different ventures that you can send your retainers on. Quick exploration, which takes an hour, and sometimes they bring back amazing things. It's pretty rare. And sometimes they bring back, not sometimes, most of the time they bring back outdated or low-level gear that you can't really use and you can't sell on the market board, and you can sell for between 250 and 1,000 Gil to a vendor. If you've done quick explorations, you know the vast majority of what gets brought back each hour is that. If you do field exploration, that's an 18-hour thing. I do use these ventures if I'm not going to be playing for a while or before I go to log off for the night. I'll send them on a longer venture because there's a chance that they'll bring back more things that I can sell on the market board. They bring back coins that you can sell for a few thousand Gil each time, so those aren't too bad. But the one I want to focus on right now is hunting. And I've found that hunting is a better Gil maker than any of the others. The hunting takes an hour and it costs 1 venture, and based on any of these items that you've gathered at some point in the game, so if you killed whatever drops ova meat or you've gotten ova meat before, then your retainer can go get them. You'll be able to send your retainer out on hourly missions for these things. But obviously those are the high level to 80 ones. I want to focus on maybe something a bit more mid-range. And you may be saying, well, I don't want to have to look up all that stuff to see what's going to make me the most money. Yeah, some of this is work, I get it. But what I would recommend is you take your little device here, your handy dandy device, because again, every server is going to be different anyway, and you just turn on the camera and you go up to the screen and you take a picture of it, and now I've got a list of all of the things, very easy to review, and now I can go to the market board. So I'm going to shut that down, I'm going to quit here, I'm going to return here, I'm going to back out all of the 800 menus that you've got to do, and I'm going to run to the market board real quick and see what this stuff sells for. Again, if you've watched any of my other Gil videos, you'll know that there's really not a get-rich-quick scheme that works in the game. And the reason is because the economy works much like a real economy. So really what you want to learn are more techniques than anything else. So starting off at the top of the list, I've got yak milk. So I type in yak milk, and my retainer can bring back 10 of each of these items in an hour. So at the low end, 550 times 10, that's 5,500 Gil. And it looks like, though, that the high quality ones are selling for more, and about 2/3 of a page is sold today, so that's pretty darn good. That might be a good one to go after, yak milk. And then the next one on the list, Gastornis egg. The names of these things, am I right? There it is. Sell for a couple hundred. They've also been selling about half a page today. Let's try Deep Eye Tears. Here we go. 18,500, 2,500. Looks like about half a page is sold today. Normal quality has been selling for that. If I can get 10 of those from my retainer, that's $25,000 of Gil. I can't believe it. I actually brought out the calculator to do that math. I'm sorry. I'm really not that dumb, I promise. So, Deep Eye Tears. Sells pretty good. 25,000 Gil an hour. If I do 4 hours worth, that's 100,000 Gil for literally just clicking Assign Venture. So a pretty cool way to make more Gil than you would think. And that was literally, you saw, I went through 3 items. Maybe there would have been a better one in that list, but I'm gonna assign Venture, I'm gonna do Hunting. I was mid-level, 51 to 55. Deep Eye Tears, assign, and boom. My retainer is off to go make me 25,000 Gil over the next hour. Next thing I want to talk about regarding making Gil, and something I really want to highlight today, are Gil making combos. Because often different steps can help you on your path to make more Gil. So what do I mean by this? Well, I just sent my retainer off to get me that 25,000 Gil worth of Deep Eye Tears. That cost me 1 venture. Where do I get ventures from? Well, you can get ventures from a few different places. One is you can use Beast Tribe currency to get them. 2, you can use your Grand Company seals. So if you're playing the game right now, for example, and my Grand Company is the Immortal Flames, one of the Gil making combos that I really like right now, in a way to get multiple benefits, is because we've got the Moogle event going on right now. So consider this depending on what's going on in the game. So I can go into this Moogle event and I can buy, obviously I've spent all my tomes that I had. I got a couple of the mounts and stuff like that. But I can run some of the raids, the older raids, to get the Moogle tomes. And as I'm running those raids, I've been greeting on everything that I can. Every item that comes up, I greet on it, because then I can go over here to my Flame Personnel Officer and do expert delivery of the items that I get from that. Now, unfortunately, I've sold all of the ones that I had, but if I would have gotten some of that gear from doing those raids to get the tomes, I come back here, I sell them, I get the Grand Company seals, then I go over here to the Quartermaster. I think it's in the second one. Oh, it's in the first one. And I buy ventures with it. I use the ventures to pay for my retainer to get me the Deep Eye Tears or whatever to make 25,000. You see what I mean by the combo, right? So it starts with running those raids for the Moogle event to get Moogle tomes and greeting and getting a bunch of gear that I don't need. Then I bring the gear I don't need to my Grand Company, sell it for Grand Company seals, use the seals to buy the ventures to send my retainer out to make me Gil. You see it, so that's kind of like a Gil making combo. I'm getting multiple benefits throughout that process. So think about what you're doing in the game and how you can do some of these combos. Another one that I've got that I wanted to talk through is your weeklies. So if you're, let's say you're at level cap, you're at 80, and you're running your weeklies, your dailies rather, or your weeklies, whatever you want to call it, and you're getting these Tome Stones of Gosha that you don't need, you just run up here to the Tome Stone exchange, and you go to other. This is one that obviously a lot of people consider, but I think it's a real clear example of how a combo works. Tome Stones of Gosha other. You can get probably a couple 100,000 in Gil from a full stack of these. So again, take a picture of this screen, go to your market board and type them in. But ones that I can tell you, at least on my server, that sell real well are the abrasive, the multifaceted varnish, the resin, and the alumin sells really well as well. But go to your market board, take a look at those. Do not invest in the high quality. So look at the list, see if high quality or low quality is selling more, and look for the ones where the low quality, normal quality is selling more. That's the one you want to buy, because if you do the math, investing in the higher quality, it's just not worth it. So I'll show you a little bit about this. So I'm running my dailies, I'm running my weeklies, whatever you want to call it. I'm getting those Tome Stones that I don't need, and I go here and I type in alumin, and I get the multifaceted alumin, and they're selling for about 4,000 a piece up to 5,000 a piece, and it's about 50-50. So here I would not invest in the high quality. I would earn my 4,000 to 5,000 a piece. They're selling quite well. Looks like a whole page sold yesterday, and I know that that's a good investment of Gil. Now, what about poetics? You're like, oh my goodness, I always have this full stack of poetics and I don't know what to do with it. Well, you can do a couple things. One, you can run, and this is what I've been doing with mine lately, you can run the Heaven's Word Relic quest and get a cool, glowy, shiny weapon, and that requires a lot of poetics. Or, and that quest starts in Azizla, if you're wondering, right by where the main Aetheryte is. The other thing you can do, super easy, it's a little bit of extra scratch. You come to Idleshire here, you talk to his Mina, you go to Tombstone of Poetics Other, and you purchase this, a stack of these demi crystals. A stack of demi crystals will net you 40,000 Gil. So if you're doing nothing with your poetics and you keep running content and seeing the little thing pop up on your screen, you cannot collect any more poetics, at least take the time, port to Idleshire, buy these demi crystals, run over to any vendor and sell them, and make yourself the 40,000 Gil each time you fill that stack. Poetics, especially if you're not using them for anything, they come very, very easily. So that's a couple other little combos to consider. Another one I want to talk about, if you do happen to get into gathering, even if you don't, is Materia. So Materia comes from a few different places. One, you can get Materia from doing hunts. So each hunt that you do, if you do an A rank hunt, every hunt that goes down, you're going to get a cracked Stella cluster, and you're going to get a cracked Planet cluster. The Stella cluster is where you get the grade 8 Materia, and the Planet cluster is where you get the grade 7 Materia. You get one of these every hunt that goes down. So real easy to do. You just go ahead and teleport after doing your hunts to a materia vendor. I'm going to go to the one here in Yulmore. Usually, not always, but more often than not, critical hit is the one that sells for the most. So if I go over here to materia vendor and I go to, let's just buy some 7s. Let's buy 10 7s. What's amazing about materia, as far as making Gil, is it can sell like that. I've put stacks of materia up for a reasonable price, and literally 10 seconds later it sells. Materia is one of the most recession-proof things that you can sell. So I'm going to run in here. Now the reason I chose 10 is because that is 1 hunt's worth of materia. And I click on here. And these are the 7s, mind you. They're going to sell for 3,000 a piece. Looks like some sold for about 2,500 today, but I'm just going to go ahead and let's do 2,900. That's 29,000 right there. And that's not even considering the 8s. I should have bought a stack of 8s, so we'll check out how much that costs real quick. Alright, here's your critical hit. Grade 8. Right now they're selling between 13 and 16,000. So if I get 10 of them and I wait until it goes for 16, that's 160,000 plus. So 1 hunt is roughly 200,000 Gil worth of materia. And what you'll find is if you do these hunts regularly, is that you'll have so many Stella clusters and planet clusters saved up, you won't need them all. You'll be able to use a lot of them to make Gil. If you can, join a cross-world link shell. Like right now, there's a rank that was just called in Lower Lenosha. Looks like there was a train a little earlier today. If not, I will put the name of the Discord. Actually, it's Centurio Hunts Discord that you want to look for. It's a great Discord. You go in and you basically join the Discord and you put what server you're on and that type of thing, and it will update and tell you when there's hunts going on the various servers in your data center, which is very, very cool. So join the Discord or get in some hunt link shells if you're not in either of those. Run the hunts whenever you can and make a couple 100K every hunt in selling materia. It's a really easy way, really nice combo while you're collecting the seals that you can also use. If I go here to the Crystarium, not the seals, the the nuts. And if I remember right, I might have to, depending on how smart I am, I might have to re-remember which one of these is the best. It's not the pendants. Help me out, team. Which one do I go to? Rookery. The Rookery is the one. Now, if I look through this list, there's more materia that I can buy. So I've got 2,300 sacks of nuts. I've bought everything on this list that I can. That's cool. You can also use this to upgrade some of your gear with the Deep Shadow Twine and Coating if you didn't know that. but maybe I go in here and I invest in some more materia, and I can sell that on the market board as well. So another way to make money off of this, or make gil off this combo. What else do I have on my list? Bicolor gemstone rewards. So if you haven't been doing your shared fates, if I go here, travel, and I hit shared fate, you'll see the one that I have left to complete is the Tempest, but otherwise I've got all of them done. And I know I've talked about this before, but if you go to any of the bicolor gemstone traders, you can find some great stuff to sell there for people that don't want to spend the time. And then when you're done with all of them, when you've completed all 60 fates, or 60 fates in each of the zone, I guess I should say, that would be a better way to put it, then you'll be able to go to the trader, gemstone trader that's in Yulmore and the Crystarium. Unfortunately, I'm not there yet, but then they will sell you things that only people who have gotten that far can get. The Dancer barding for chocobos, from what I hear, is a really good seller as well. So I won't go into more detail on the bicolor gemstones. I talked about it in another video, and I'm sure that would be boring for some of you, but definitely check that out. Next thing I want to talk about is Domin Enclave. Domin Enclave. And I used to have it on my favorites, but here we go. Domin Enclave opens up as you get through Stormblood, and it allows you to go through a series of quests to rebuild the Domin Enclave. And what you do is you bring junk gear to this donation basket and you sell it, and slowly that rebuilds the Domin Enclave. What's interesting about this is, if you look at the top of the screen there, you will see the rate is 200%. Let me see if I can find something to sell here. I don't think I need that. So this says sells for 342 gil on the market. And then when I put it in the Domin Enclave to sell, it sells for 684. So literally, once you finish the Domin Enclave, you get a 200% markup on these things that you sell, on this gear that you can sell here. And it goes in the forms of donations. So why not double what you're making off this old gear that you don't want anymore? So I'm going to go ahead and donate that and make my 684 extra gil. The other thing that's cool about the Domin Enclave is once you're done, you get access to this junkmonger. This junkmonger has a bunch of stuff for sale. Most of it is market prohibitive, but you can get some really cool housing items. You can get some crafting materials that are only available here. The Fool's Threshold is really cool for housing, that's adding extra lights. And then there's a couple of the orchestrion rolls that you can sell on the market board, which I promise you probably don't sell for a whole lot. But it's just kind of a side benefit of completing the Domin Enclave. You get into housing, you're making all this gil, and you can get some items that are very, very cool. Last one I want to talk about. We're at 24 minutes, probably be a little less when I edit it down anyway. Last one I want to talk about is Eureka. If you're really looking for a way to make some extra gil, a great place to venture into is Eureka. And this is for a few different reasons. One, if you've never done Eureka, they've made it significantly easier to level up through. And it's a great thing to get into while we're in between patches here. The other reason is, let's see how they're selling right now. you can gather these logograms that sell for 10,000 a piece here, 4,000 a piece there. Looks like in the past 2-3 days a whole page is sold. About 7,000 there, same thing, past few days a whole page is sold. 14,000 here, past couple days a whole page is sold. I got my house based off this. These ones sell for 19,000, past couple days a whole page is sold. 10,000 a whole page is sold. So it looks like logograms right now are back in popularity. People are trying to run BA, things like that. And then the last thing is, I think it's under miscellaneous. No, miscellany. Yep. If you go to the very last page of the miscellaneous stuff, I don't like the word miscellaneous, I think it sounds ridiculous. The miscellaneous stuff, this is where you're going to find the different mounts that can be sold on the market board. So you got the zoo horn, the night pegasus whistle, the flying chair, the dodo horn, the elders horn, the Eureka Patrol horn, the Magitech bed, the Utifi horn, and then it gets into barding. So those are all of the ones that you can sell. Elders is one of the mounts that you can get, and if you look here, the horn sells for roughly 6 to 10 million gil. So if you go through the Eureka and you happen across an Elders horn, you can either make 6 to 10 million gil, or you can do like I did and keep it. I ended up getting one for myself and one for my wife, but by far one of the coolest looking mounts in the game. And it's a rare drop in Eureka for running bunnies. Those of you who've done Eureka know what I mean, but there are definitely some drops in Eureka that are worth a ton of gil. So that's the last tip I wanted to go through today. So real quick kind of recap. Look for those gil making combos, send your retainers on the right hunts, use your Tome Stones for buying the right things. Don't forget to at least get the 40k out of the Poetics, and work the Domin Enclave. It's worth it when you're selling your gear. And don't forget about Eureka. The last thing I would say is this was focused solely on things you can do as a battle job to make gil. However, if you have not considered getting into at least gathering, I would recommend starting with a botanist. You can go out and collect different wood from the trees throughout the game, and even at a really low level botanist, you can gather things to make a decent amount of gil. It's not going to be 1 million gil or 10 million gil like getting an Elders, but it's going to be a more consistent form of making gil. And then you can also make one of your retainers a botanist, and if your retainer's a botanist, then you can sell them on hunting missions to bring you back more of that stuff that you've gotten. And so at least if you're interested in making gil, I know some people are highly resistant to getting into the crafting and all that, but at least start with a gatherer. Just go start a botanist. It's super easy to do. You can do it while you're waiting for dungeons to pop or whatever, or as you're just putzing around the game. If you really are serious about making gil, at some point, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to get into at least the gathering, probably the gathering and the crafting. And I'll give you an example. I've got a, come on, oop, I should have kept that up. I've got a carpenter and a culinarian max level. They're just the two crafters that I've got. And if I go up here and I buy some red, or I make some red dye, I can sell wine red dye for 1,100 a piece, and I can get red pigment for 200 a piece. The difference is 900 a piece, and it literally takes me 10 seconds to make that dye and just flood my retainer with stacks of wine red dye, and people buy it like crazy. And I've probably made $1 million gil off selling dye, and it's just stupid easy to do. Doesn't take any time at all, and you literally need like a level if I go red dye, it's a level, why does it not tell me what level recipe it, oh, level 30. Sorry, I was a little blind there for a minute. It's a level 30 recipe. It would take you maybe a couple hours to get 2-3 hours to get a crafter to level 30, and easy. You just go buy it off the market board, make dye. So that's something you can do with crafting, but at least look at getting into one of them, and that way you'll have much more diversity in how you're making gills. So anyway, team, I hope you found something in there helpful, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks again.